I too am in favor of this bill, but there were some parts that gave me pause. There's one district in this bill that will receive $100 million more than any other school district. And that gave me pause, and then I think about that school district has 40,000 kids, desperately needs 2 elementary schools and a high school to meet the growth. When I think about, to the good gentleman from 28, his point about the vast majority of school districts who will not have the money that they need for a new building, I still have to consider that under this bill, they're going to get more money than they would have received. Part of that money that they will receive is consolidating existing pots of funds for facilities. Lottery dollars, the bond levy equalization program, making sure that we understand that if you take money out of your back pocket and put it in your front pocket, it's not new money. And when I consider where the bond levy equalization program came from and the bond levy index that helped facilitate that program, it was in direct response to the Supreme Court, the Idaho Supreme Court ruling in 2005 that said this body was not adequately funding public schools under the uniformity clause in our Constitution. We weren't doing it, and that includes school facilities. The bond levy index came about in 2006 in response to that 2005 ruling, and what it attempted to do was to create an equitable metric that we may look at the communities around Idaho and basically give it a score of what it is to bond there based on property value per support unit, per capita income, and the county's unemployment rate. What it takes to bond, to go out for a bond, to pay a bond, to have those bondable assets in the Treasure Valley, in Boise and Meridian is vastly different than what it takes to bond in Salmon, in Swan Valley. So when I look at that district that's receiving $100 million more, and I looked at their bonding capacity, in the past 35 years, they've run 12 bonds. They've passed 9 of them. For us math lovers, that's a 75% success rate. And then I looked at Salmon. In the past 45 years, they've also run a dozen bonds. They failed all of them. That's a 0% success rate. So that's why the bond levy index was so important, trying to address what it is to bond across our state and that it is not equal. And so to the good gentleman from 28, his point about rural districts not getting the funding that they need, I am concerned that distributing this by attendance, by ADA, will miss the mark. In Swan Valley, single school, 59 kids. They have the student-occupied space for buildings is just under 24,000 square feet. So per student, that's 402 square feet of facilities that they have to meet per kid, if we're going to look at kids versus the square footage that they're in. In Bonneville, multiple schools, 13,539 students, just shy of 2 million student-occupied space, 2 million square feet, 1.9. Per student over there, that's 144 square foot of facilities. So Swan Valley is responsible for 3 times, almost 3 times the amount of square footage of facilities with significantly less money. I feel like the distribution on attendance is grossly inadequate for our rural districts that have the older buildings, that have more deferred maintenance, that are in need of more repair, but they're going to have lower student numbers, lower enrollment. And if we're basing on ADA, they will be left wanting. As a reminder to this body that 70% of our school districts are in rural Idaho. Passing this bill does not absolve us from our duty, our responsibility for uniformity and thorough funding of our schools, including school facilities. We have a yes and situation here. Yes, this is a good step. It's a good start. And we will continue to have to meet the inequity so our rural districts can have the amount that they need, the funding and support that they need to meet deferred maintenance and new buildings. Thank you.